Welcome to the Athlete Insights Podcast, hosted by Yash Padday, a podcast focused on letting athletes tell their journeys in their sport. This podcast is presented by Boxed Water. Boxed water is better.
Welcome in to another episode of the Athlete Insights Podcast. Today I've got my guest, Keith Brigham. He's a former Division I defensive lineman at the University of Memphis. He's also currently the defensive line coach at Saguaro High School in Arizona. Also a mentor for high school kids, a consultant for high school football athletes looking to secure NIL deals, looking to get NIL deals, looking to get recruited at the next level and play at the next level. So excited to welcome in my good friend, Keith Brigham. Keith, I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's early over there in Arizona, 8:30. You say before we got on, you just getting your coffee ready. But I appreciate you waking up and spending Saturday morning with me, brother.
Gosh, stop it. I appreciate the introduction, but seriously, man, anything for you, man. It's a pleasure. Pleasure's all mine. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, I appreciate you for sure. I appreciate you, and want to kind of talk about your start in sport, like I do with my guests. Is when was the first time you really experienced sport? Really got to know sport, whether it was football first, other sports. When was the first time though that you really fell in love with sport? At what age would that be?
Well, I would say preschool. I remember being in preschool. Kid you not. I remember being in preschool, and I would wear a jersey that my mom bought me because my brother was playing football.
Okay.
And I remember going to the games and just being around the environment on Saturdays and in the afternoon, and just the smell of fresh cut grass, the atmosphere, hearing the crowds roar, and seeing the excitement, and watching my brother come off the field all sweaty and like a gladiator almost. And being his little brother, I want to be just like that. I want to experience what he's experiencing, and that was my first introduction really to sport.
Yeah. Like, and you said following in kind of your brother's footsteps and kind of what your brother did. Was football really your first love? Did you play any other sports like that you followed your brother into, or kind of what other sports did you play?
So truthfully, this is how it's supposed to go. I was supposed to play basketball.
Okay.
Growing up, I'm actually from a basketball family, but I didn't have the handles. I couldn't shoot, and I'm 6'3.5". So really, I'm like a Steph Curry. But in the football world, being 6'3" and athletic, and being kind of nimble on my feet, it works out.
Yeah.
But I did basketball growing up, and basketball really was my first love. It was really my first love. I loved it. I always played it in the summer. I'm outside. I'll go to the YMCA, Boys and Girls Club. I would always play ball. And then I also did track as well. Went to state in high school and in junior high through discus. So a big track guy as well. But football, basketball, and track, those are my top three.
Top three. What position in basketball? Power forward always?
Oh man, I was a big guy. I was 5 all the time.
Okay.
I remember a few years I played up in AAU, and even though this is how you know I had no handles, I still played. They still put me at the 5, regardless if I was the biggest dude in the court at the time or not. They're like, nah, you don't have any handles, dog. You gotta go down the post.
You gotta be underneath the basket.
Yeah. I remember my coach. He took me down to the block. He was like, "Hey, you live right here and right here to the block, right by the rim."
Gotcha. And did you play? I know, like I mentioned in your intro, you defensive lineman at the University of Memphis. You also started your career at JUCO at Pima Community College. And so, when did you start? I know you mentioned basketball as being kind of dominated kind of your youth career in terms of how you enjoyed it and you played it so much. When did you start playing football? What age did that really start? And that really
So I started playing football at age 7. Tackle football at age 7. Yeah.
Gotcha. And were you always on the line? Did you play any other positions?
Oh man, I was the modern day Walter Payton is what they
I got
said.
you.
I was a running back.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
call me Mr. Sweet Feet. I was
I
a running
got you.
back up till what my freshman year of high school, and I played a
Gotcha.
little bit of wide receiver, some tight end,
Gotcha.
linebacker my senior year. I was
Mhm.
all over the place.
One, I know one memory is too hard to kind of
Hmm.
jog, but one kind of memory, favorite memory from your youth sport career, whether it's basketball or football, that really stands out.
Oof. I would say for football, I would say for my high school year, my
Mhm.
senior year, I played
Okay.
linebacker. And I
Uh-huh.
remember playing in Urbana, and I remember I had a pick six.
Oh,
Just the feeling playing linebacker, dropping back into coverage.
yeah.
I'll be honest, it wasn't just me having a good read. The quarterback made a bad pass. He passed it
Mhm.
directly to me, but still having a pick six was it's still
Hey,
a nice thing.
a pick six is great. Any way you can get it,
Yeah,
is great.
exactly. By any means necessary. And
Yeah.
best believe me, I still put it on my highlight.
I got you. And that kind of transpired you or pushed you into your high school. You said your senior year, getting that pick six in football really
Yeah.
pushed you into that speaking of that high school football level and kind of where you're at. So can you talk about that was kind of the pinnacle moment you mentioned of your high school career, but can you talk about your high school career overall, kind of what your experience was playing
Yeah.
high school ball?
Yeah. So playing high school ball, man, I remember this is back in the day, about 20, I was in high school, what, 20, sheesh, the fact I have to take time to think about this.
Yeah.
Wow. I haven't had to think about this. This is, yeah, it should make me feel old right now.
I'm old. I feel
Tw
old.
2000, yeah, 2011,
Yeah.
2015. Football was a different time. I
Yeah.
remember my freshman year when I get in, the program at my high school was just different. It
Mhm.
was like the seniors were just the role models. Like everyone wanted to model, mimic, and master. Those are my three things that I believe are crucial if you want to
Mhm.
have continued success in any culture,
Yeah.
which is model, mimic, master. And every single high school, every single freshman, they wanted to be just like those seniors.
Mhm.
Even the juniors, the sophomores, they wanted to be just like those individuals. We had a
Mhm.
running joke about one of the guys. He was a QB, Alex Jefferson.
Mhm.
It was a joke that if we had a dollar bill, he'd be on the face of it. Like it was just you had just real guys out there
Yeah.
who just led not only on the field but by
Mhm.
their actions all the way around.
Mhm.
And, then I remember my sophomore year, I get to dress, play varsity, which was a big deal.
Mhm.
I was playing tight end, and it was a really big deal. And then my junior year, I'm playing on varsity, and I get hurt, tore my
Mhm.
ACL, and tore my ACL about my third or fourth game,
Mhm.
which was dramatic, man. It took me out. It took me out mentally. Just had to shake back. Lost some offers, or lost some looks
Mhm.
because of that, and just kind of went on a downhill slope because of that little injury. Just took me out mentally, man. And my biggest advice for people who are going through an injury like that, an ACL or any kind of
Mhm.
injury that takes them out for the
Yeah.
entire season in high school, is to stay close to the sport,
Yeah.
stay close to training, uh, and really have individuals around you who are really, speaking life into you, because you can get kind of down on yourself.
Mhm.
And then my senior year, um, oh, it was a blast. Left it all out there in the field.
Mhm.
I came back for a vengeance
Yeah.
a little bit, playing linebacker, playing a different position right there, and
Mhm.
just left it all out there on the field. But the recruiting part was pretty tough. It
Yeah.
was almost like I just gave up on the recruiting portion. But when it came to the field, I just left it all out there, man.
And speaking of your recruiting, you kind of alluded to the next portion of what I really wanted to touch on here when it came to your high school career is your recruiting process, and you mentioned you kind of gave up there on that recruiting process. But
Yeah.
what advice would you give to young people or to high school kids now that are in the thick of it, that are freshmen, sophomore, that are really looking to get into
Yeah.
the recruiting process early and get into that recruiting process now? What advice would you
Oh
give
man.
based on your own
Yeah.
experiences?
Based on my own experiences, this is what I would do. I
Mm-hmm.
would listen to anyone who has not been through it. I
Yeah.
would not take advice from anyone who has not been through the recruiting process.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take advice from someone who's too far removed from the recruiting process. I wouldn't
Mhm.
take advice from someone who hasn't really lived or they're not knowledgeable about the recruiting process. As you know, the recruiting process is continually changing right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we might find out something new.
Mm-hmm.
Something new may change tomorrow. Right now,
Yeah.
at the rate we're going, and I believe in drafting behind processes.
Mm-hmm.
Why not draft behind a process that's already been laid out? Laid out. People have done it, and it's been proven to work. I mean, are you a NASCAR guy?
Not really, but I watch sometimes.
So in NASCAR, some cars will get behind another
Mm-hmm.
vehicle, okay?
Yeah.
Because they're drafting, meaning that they're reducing the air traction on the vehicle so they can move more efficiently, and
Okay.
also it's better for the car's fuel economy. So
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, it's similar to the recruiting process. You can use it for other ways in life. If I was in the recruiting process today, I would find someone who's looking to mentor individuals like myself,
Mm-hmm.
or find someone else who can mentor you through this process. Because why not follow a process that's been proven to work and reduce your headaches, reduce your stress, and to ensure that you have a higher likelihood, a higher chance to actually succeed and reach your goals, whether it's to get more NIL deals or
Yeah.
to build yourself a brand along this recruiting journey, um, or also just to let you know these are your options as to what is out here for you. Because a lot of these kids do not know what they need to know in order to grow and in order to succeed. And
Mhm.
I'm not blaming the kids, and
Yeah.
I won't blame the parents. However, though, when there's information out there for you, though,
Mhm.
at some point it's a choice
Yeah.
to remain ignorant.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays and you said there, you can't blame the parents, you can't blame the kids, but nowadays it's with the amount of information out there, it's tough to kind of just sit back and say, I'm just gonna like, there's so much information, there's so much
Yeah,
ability
yeah.
for kids to go that route, and even it's like the recruiting process is so, like you said, it's ever changing now with NIL. We just saw, I mean, I just was watching First Take today, and they said the SEC's dominance on the college football playoff has diminished because of NIL,
Thank
right? So
God.
like
Thank God. Hey, be honest. Doesn't
yeah.
it make you feel good to see that? Doesn't it make you feel good to see that a
Yeah.
little bit?
Deep
I
down,
don't know about you.
deep
Deep
down a
down.
little bit, but I'm, it's NIL, transfer portal, all that stuff's changing the game. But I like
Yeah.
what you said. Finding a mentor, finding somebody who's gone through that process, can guide you better.
Yeah.
You know.
And I don't think parents or kids understand. You won't understand unless you actually go through it or
Yeah.
once you start experiencing it. And then you realize, damn, I probably should have someone help me along this journey.
Hmm.
Uh, but you will do it once it's too late.
Yeah.
You will seek the help, you will seek the mentorship along the
Hmm.
journey once it's too late. And I remember, for instance, so a little bit about me, and this is what people don't know. Okay, I'm about to
Hmm.
share something with you here that a
Yeah.
lot of people don't know.
Okay.
So out of high school, I went to a community college, didn't play a sport.
Hmm.
Then I walked on to Illinois State. Then I left Illinois State, went to a JUCO, which is in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
Then from there, I went to Memphis, and I finished at Memphis. Those 2 years at Memphis.
Hmm.
Now, being at four different schools, this is what kids need to be aware of now:
Hmm.
is transcripts.
Yeah.
A lot of your transcripts, and you've been there too, where
Yeah.
you've been to different schools. A
Yeah.
lot of your transcripts, like a lot of those classes you took, they
Yeah.
may not roll over into a program,
Yeah. Or they
even
may not
though
count as credits towards it.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I myself, I remember my mom told me this when I was at my first community college. She said, like, son, like, don't let your academic advisor just sort of take over. I want you to actually have a hand in what you're doing.
Hmm.
And thank God she told me that, because I remember once I got to JUCO,
Yeah.
once I got to Tucson, Arizona, a lot of guys took so many credits.
Yeah.
that didn't roll over into the actual
Mhm.
program.
Ah,
But people don't ask those right questions.
yeah. Yeah. See, I mean, that's an interesting point that you bring up because I mean, academics, it's student athlete, right? And so the academic portion, a lot of times I see kids, they'll put everything, they'll lay their body on the line, they'll do everything right when it comes to football, but when it comes to
Hmm.
academics, there's a disconnect there. So I like what you said. There's understanding the academic intricacies as well,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
in the
and
credits.
yeah, and people say, "Oh, kids shouldn't get paid.
Mhm.
They get a free education."
Yeah.
I hear that. Totally understand where you're coming from. Kids do get paid. However, though, when it comes to the education, just because it's free doesn't mean that it aligns with their actual goals.
Yeah.
There's so many. There's a lot of times where kids have to choose a degree solely based upon what classes
Yeah.
uh, are available that work around their football schedule. But
Hmm.
again, this happened. This happened recently.
Yeah.
A kid that I know, he graduated early, got there for spring. This was 2024.
Hmm.
And then he's like, man, he's like, I can't do my degree. Like, I found out
Hmm.
that I can't do my degree because the classes don't work around the football schedule.
Mm.
And I'm like, you didn't ask the right questions, man. Like,
Yeah.
you got to ask those hard questions right out the gate.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and yeah, it is interesting because, and this is I mean, I'm a big fan of Deion Sanders and what he's done at Colorado, what he's doing out there. But his big mantra that I really love, that I really look at is, you got to prepare 95% of these guys for work, like for a job, uh,
Absolutely.
getting into the workforce. And so, because I read a stat, only 2% of all high school and college athletes actually make it to the NFL or to the professional level.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not just in football, just overall in general, NFL,
Yeah.
NBA, whatever. And so, when you think about it that way, you bring up an interesting point. When you think about it that way, is like, think about how your degree corresponds to what your goals are and kind of how you're going to fit that around football. Like that's great because like you said,
Yeah.
95+% of these guys are going to go into a job, into a workforce, into helping other individuals. And so, having that degree is an important piece of that. So, yeah.
And that's exactly it. I remember making sure that your goals actually align with uh you got to really map out your goals. And this is what kids don't understand. Whenever I work with a kid, I always map
Mhm.
out their goals for the
Yeah.
future. What's the long-term plan for you? What do you want? Like, is NFL, is that truly what you want? And
Yeah.
after I do an assessment of watching their film, I'll say, look, hey, I don't know if the NFL is truly in your future, my friend. I'll be honest with you.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's in your. I don't know if it's in your future. However, though, you can still get offers to go play college ball and get your school paid for. And I
Yeah.
didn't realize this until I went through the whole recruiting process.
Yeah.
But I found out that I could have had way more years to play D2 football
Yeah.
than to play D1 football. And it's all because they have a clock systems. They run off different systems
Yeah.
as opposed to when your clock gets started. So
Mhm.
if I wanted to, I could have played D2 ball and could have gotten my master's played for and maybe then some.
Oh,
Do you see
I
what I'm saying?
I see what you're
So
saying
if my
now.
long
Yeah.
term goal was like, if I want to like put myself in your shoes, you know what? I think I may want to pull a Yash and go get my doctorate. That's what matters most to me.
Mhm.
Okay, if D2 schools are willing to offer me more money, then I probably should go the D2 route so I get everything paid for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like you said, that the clock, like the way your clock starts is different. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying there.
Yeah.
That's and again, I mean, that's it's great that you're sharing this insight because they're. I mean, it's all the little intricacies of this. I like to I'm a big golfer, Keith, and golf has its own intricacies with its rules and all that stuff. I
Yeah.
like to compare that to that. Is there's so many little things that, and I mean, you can't really blame. I mean, not that you can't blame kids, but I mean, at 18, 19, I was also, trying to do other things and not really think about us. But like, I think it's important nowadays, like you said, that kids do think about those intricacies because when you're 18, 19, you might not be thinking about them, but it's going to affect you when you're 27, 28, 29 years old,
Yeah.
10, 10, 15 years down the line. So,
Absolutely.
It is
Absolutely.
interesting too, and I love how you brought up all these different intricacies because it is important for not just the kids, but for parents to understand too. Because if parents can understand, then it
Yes.
translate into the kid and transpire into the kid. And so, uh,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
that's a key piece. But I want to kind of transition now from your recruiting and your high school process into college. You talked about going to community college, then going to Illinois State, going back to Pima Community College in Tucson, and then transfer to Memphis and finishing up at Memphis. Can you talk about briefly kind of lessons that you learned, or a couple lessons that you learned throughout your high school, either college, from your high school football journey to your college football journey?
Yeah.
Share some lessons and
Okay.
insights and advice for on that regard.
Yeah. I'll give you advice on each stage. Is
Mm-hmm.
that okay with you?
Yeah, yeah,
So my first piece of advice, going from high school, and then I took a year off from sports, and I was just going to community college in
yeah,
Illinois before I walked on to Illinois State. This time frame, I realized how you need to be structured.
yeah.
You need to have a structure. I don't care. Even right now, I have a structure
Mhm.
within my life where I wake up early in the morning and I do this, I do that, go to
Yeah,
work, and da. Like I have a structure. Live your life like an athlete. You've played your sports for about, let's say, 10 years.
yeah.
You've already developed the mindset of an athlete.
Mhm.
Stay in it, and it'll always stay with you,
Yeah,
because a lot of people, they live a life of just lackadaisical, not no structure,
yeah.
and it shows up in a lot of areas of their life, unfortunately, and not a good way.
Mhm.
So be really structured still, no matter
Yeah,
what. That's
yeah,
a lesson I learned. And then at Illinois State, be the first one there. Always in the morning. We said recruiting processes, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, the recruiting process.
yeah,
Um, Man, Illinois State, when I walked on there, you got to sell yourself.
yeah.
Every day I've learned that you just have to sell yourself. You can be really confident about what you bring to the table.
Mhm.
And they let me walk on. I really had to show up. I literally showed up, 5 o'clock in the morning, whenever the coach would hit the field, and I would like wait there by the door. Again, I'm a kid who's going to a community college right now, and I'm not playing a sport. And I'm just like basically like a sort of like, I want to say harassing them. It's not a good word to use,
Yeah.
but I really wanted to play ball, and I showed them that how hungry I was. And
Persistence, I think, is the
yeah, that's the word. And I think a lot of kids nowadays, they don't have that. I think a lot of kids are afraid to be shut down, and
yeah,
I think that a lot of kids, in my opinion, are they don't show that they're hungry.
yeah,
And coaches want to see how hungry you are, even if you're not the most talented. I have so many stories of friends that I know where they've done something similar to me. If you show how hungry you are,
yeah,
coaches want guys who are hungry.
yeah.
Coaches don't want guys that can tell, hey, like you got to step it up. They
Mhm.
want guys who they can say, all right, cool it down a little bit. Coaches would rather tell you to cool it down. And
Yeah.
I showed that I had that kind of energy, that passion.
Mhm.
So that really worked in my favor. And
Yeah.
then when it came to me going to a junior college program in Tucson, again, that was a full ride, paid for my apartment, uh, schooling, and everything.
Yeah.
But for me going there, I learned the power of networking.
Yeah.
Uh, the power of networking is so crucial, man.
Yeah.
Like
In anything,
I,
not just
yeah,
in football, but in anything,
yeah,
you know?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. In anything, you're right. Anything. I learned, I make a few phone calls,
Mhm.
talk to this coach, and I built a relationship with one coach, and he was able to talk on my behalf to the main guy, and tell him, hey, we got to give Keith a full ride. And in
Yeah.
JUCOs, they don't really do a lot of full rides, so I was very
Yeah.
blessed. But again, I was blessed to have relationships. I was blessed to have someone speak on my behalf,
Mhm.
and I learned then you're going to need people to speak on behalf of you in those rooms
Yeah.
behind closed doors, because no matter how good of an athlete you think you are, they can always find someone to get the job done. Maybe
Mhm.
just not as good as you, but they can always find someone to get the job done,
Yeah.
and sometimes at a lower cost.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Well, and that's the thing that I've been told too is, and I was told by my parents, told by other people, is like you gotta be one on one, like you gotta be show that you're unique in that regard because Otherwise, you're replaceable. They could just you're like a pawn on a chessboard. They could just take you out and put somebody in. You know what I mean? So
It's the truth.
it's wild to think, but it is. I mean, it is important, like you said, to make sure you are unique. Make sure you are staying out, and that persistence pays off.
Oh yeah.
Persistent. We talk about talent, guys that had talent, but the one thing that I've seen consistently on messaging on social media, everywhere else is, and coaches I've been around, like working in football, coaching high school ball now is, hard work, persistence is going to beat talent 100% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, I've seen it time and time and time and again and again. I've played at so many different schools and I've seen so many guys come through.
Yeah.
What separates a lot of the guys, it's not about talent. It really isn't.
Yeah.
It really isn't. I mean, I've played around some talented guys, but it's not solely talent. It's really all mindset. That's why you see so many guys who are 2s and 3 stars coming out of college or coming out of high school, and they're dogs. They're dogs.
Cam Ward, prime example in Miami.
Come on now.
Yeah.
The list goes on. And you see a lot of 5. You don't have many 5-star guys in the league that were 5 stars in high school.
Yeah.
Like, because when those 5 stars get to their big time program, they're gonna run to a 2, 2.5. He has a little fire in his belly.
Yeah.
He's a little angry at the world.
Yeah.
You're gonna come across those guys, man. I'm telling you, it's different. But then my recruiting journey from JUCO to Memphis, this is where, my biggest piece of advice. My biggest piece of advice, especially now, make sure you have the recruiting journey in your hands. Make sure you are hands-on in your recruiting process. Do not let anyone take over the process and say, I got it for you.
Yeah.
No. You go look at the research. You do your research and see how many years of eligibility you have.
Yeah.
You do your research and see if they have your program. You do your research and see if you could actually take the classes at that school.
Yeah.
You do your research on everything.
Yeah.
Like, I want you, if you're a young kid,
it's your future. I mean, that's
your future, bro. It's your future. There's no reason why you should get to a school and then you say, "Oh man, I can't take this class because I don't have enough credits. Oh man, I can't take this class because I just found out that it conflicts with my football schedule." No.
Yeah.
Do your own research all across the board.
Gotcha. Yeah.
From location to the school, to the football program, to the defense, the offense. Like, do your own research, man.
That's so. I mean, that's so key, right? Like I said, it's your future. That's an important piece there.
And I had to learn the hard way here. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. So my JUCO coach, great guy. Yeah. Love him to this day. And he didn't really know how many years I had left of eligibility. And he was telling D1 coaches that were coming to look at me, like Kansas was looking at me. And Kansas came and talked to me. This is at the time they had Rick Ross. Rick Ross came and did like a rap thing at the school or whatever. And they came and talked to me, and he was telling me, "Oh yeah, Keith is only a 1-year guy. Keith only has 1 year and he's done." And I'm like, do I have 1 year? Like, I don't know. I had no idea. There's other D1 programs coming through the door. Then finally, Coach Randolph at University of Memphis, he was like, let me do some research. He did some research, found out I have 2 years. He's like, oh, boom. He made calls right there. Like, he went to a room, called NCAA, and sent them my transcripts and everything. And they found it. He was like, no, you got 2 years. He was like, let's bring in a visit next week. I'm like, let's do it. So through that experience, I've learned, like, hey, dude, like, even though your parents, your coaches, they may have their best interest at heart, do
Yeah.
your own damn research, or find someone who's really indulged in the process of understanding the recruiting process for you.
Yeah. That, I mean, and it just, I mean, for me, it comes down to the simple fact that, I mean, it's your life, it's your future that it's in you got to have it in your hands. Like your future needs to be in your hands and not in somebody else's hands because it's
Yep.
going to directly affect you. And like I said, you might not, as an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, you might not think much of it, but it does affect you when you become like us, old, as we call it, 27, 28, 30 over
Yep.
it does impact your life in the future, when though it might not in the short term, or it might not
Yeah.
seem like it in the short term. So that,
Yeah. It
um,
it it, it changes the trajectory of your life.
yeah, yeah, for
It
sure.
does.
Um, and then you get to Memphis. You won the when I was there. I know we met when I was there in 2019. You guys won
Yeah.
the American Conference Championship.
Yeah.
Remember that there, American
Yeah.
Conference Championship there. That was a sweet time. You went to
Speaking
Dallas,
of
played the
that,
Cotton Bowl. So, yeah, oh, okay,
come on.
yeah, there you go, there you go. Right, and you got to live, or you got to be a part of something a lot of kids really strive to be, is at that Division I level. I've talked, being coaching high school ball, being around high school kids, being around coaches, like that's really, they talk about, I want to be at that Division I level. I want to be at that, be it where D1 guys want to be D1, and that's kind of what they talk about a lot of times. And so, I want you, Keith, is because you've got the experience, you've got that wherewithal of being in that position. I want you to kind of imagine you're in a room with young players, football players, high school, middle school,
Yeah.
young guys, youth players that want to get to that level. What's the one? I know you've given a lot of insights, and it's great. The little intricacies that you've shared have been great, and
Yeah.
really going to help kids. And I hope it does. I hope the kids and parents that watch this, they really take a lot away, because there is a lot to take away and to understand how that process works. And Keith has done a great job in describing that. But what's
Thank
the
you.
skill, or one big picture piece of advice you would give to those young high school, middle school kids that really want to get to live that dream that you were able to live at that Division I level at the
If
University?
you want it, real simple. And I've told this message so many times to so many different teams, to so many
Mhm.
different kids, even in my one-on-ones with
Yeah,
kids. It's if you want it, you'll make it happen.
yeah,
If you want it, you will it to existence.
hmm,
There's a reason why a guy like myself could graduate high school, become a janitor. I was working as a janitor at a gym, at a health club in
hmm,
my hometown, working
yeah,
in a movie theater, going to community college. So I was working around the clock,
yeah,
working out too, and start my journey there, and then finish up at the Cotton Bowl.
yeah.
Come on now,
That's a dream.
think about that for a second.
Yeah,
I finish up at the Cotton Bowl.
yeah,
If I can do it, you can do it too. It's
yeah,
only a matter of how bad do you want it. And I only say it, and and this sounds kind of bad here, but I don't really have a lot of sympathy for guys who don't really get the offers that they want, or just get offers, because I believe this. I truly believe, and it sounds a little bit like, okay, uh, people call me Coach Briggs.
hmm,
Coach Briggs, like, hey, like that's a little too hard, don't you think?
yeah,
No, I don't think I'm being too hard, because
yeah,
I had zero help and I made it happen. You
yeah,
have people out here who are looking to help you. There's so many different opportunities to become successful, and there's so many different training programs. There's so many different recruiting platforms. There's so many different uh, ways you can navigate this process to get to
hmm,
where you want to go.
yeah,
It's only up to you, no one else. Mommy and daddy can't hold your hand. They can't pay for it. It's up to you. You have to will it into existence. How
yeah,
bad do you want it? If you want it bad enough, reach out to me one-on-one at Coach Briggs on Instagram, or coachbriggs.com, and we can make it happen, and we can will it into existence for you together right now, today, whenever you're ready. But don't put it off for too long, because you only have a short window. So let's
yeah,
get started. That's
yeah,
what I say
yeah,
every time. I mean it. And I'm
Hmm.
looking at your eyes right now with this full passion, belly on fire, because it gets me excited.
Oh yeah.
But that's what I tell kids all the time. If
And
you want it,
it's
make it happen.
and it goes back if you want to make it happen, and that's great, like willing it into existence, and that's great. But it's also great to have a mentor like yourself that can help. Like you said, there's so many different platforms, so many different mentors that can help you will it into existence. You don't have to do it on you do it on your own, and you got to have that passion, but you can have help like yourself, mentors like yourself that can help you get will your dream and your passion into an existence, and into peace. So it's great to kind of see that that
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like this. Why are there so many different business consultants? There's
yeah,
business consultants in marketing. There's business consultants on growing your business
yeah,
from a startup to $1 million business.
yeah,
And why is that? It's because they've done processes already. They've
mhm,
bumped their head so many times. They
yeah,
made the bumps, the bruises, lost millions of dollars already.
yeah,
And they spent so much time in the wrong areas. They made all the wrong decisions, but they also made all the right decisions. And
mhm,
so why not go back and lead people? Sort of like how Moses freed his people.
mm,
Moses freed his people, man.
yeah,
He knew where to go. He knew where to
yeah,
go. Right? So
mhm,
why not follow someone else who's been through what you're trying to get to?
yeah,
Is simply what I'm trying to say. It just
yeah.
makes sense.
No, that's I hear you for sure, and I like you said, it's up, and the common theme here is it's up to you, right? You said mom and dad can't help you,
No.
uncles, your aunts, family can't help you. It's up to you as to how much you want it and what your passion is. I know Keith. I mean, I can see you're super passionate about this, and you got to be self motivated, and that's the key. You got to have that self
Yeah.
motivation to actually get to that before any
It
coach, before any mentor, before anybody.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what I've recognized when I ran into is come
Mhm.
across guys, on the call, I realize they don't know what they need to know in
Yeah.
order to grow and become successful and reach those opportunities that they're seeking.
Yeah.
But they have the passion and they're just sitting sort of idle. I don't know where to go. And they're afraid of making a movement because they fear that it may be the wrong movement or making the wrong decision. But I'll tell you
Mm.
this, even if you decide to work with me or not, not making a choice is making a choice.
Mhm.
And you have to get started somewhere.
Yeah.
And what I did was I just moved. I just moved and I put my intention and I attacked it with such velocity, which is going to knocking on the door at Illinois State and saying, "Hey, I want an opportunity. Keith, no, we're good, man. We're good. We don't want
Yeah.
you. All right, cool. I'll be here tomorrow. Hey, I want an opportunity.
Yeah.
Hey,
Just
Keith,
keep.
you can't be here, Keith. You gotta go. We're gonna call security. All right, great. I'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna keep showing up. You gotta
Yeah.
be undeniable.
Hmm. No, and the persistence factor is such a key factor in this, and I think a lot of times in an era now where we have this idea of instant gratification of
Talk to
you
me.
want it now, that persistency really pays off, and so
Preach,
uh,
Pastor.
that's a key piece of that. But that's all the time we have for this episode of the Athlete Insights podcast. Keith, I wanna thank you. You provided some great insights, some great experiential knowledge as well from your own experiences, and I know it's really going to help uh, kids and hopefully parents and kids that are watching take a lot, like I said before, away from this because there are a lot of intricacies and stuff that Keith discussed that are important, really important to understand as you guys move into that next level. But you can follow Keith on social media. I'll have Keith's social media up on the YouTube video. I'll have it in the description on YouTube as well as on Spotify. And then you can follow me and my podcast anywhere you get a podcast. You can find this one: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Pretty much, like I said, anywhere you find one, you can find this one. But again, Keith, thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day,
Yeah,
your morning, and dropping some really important and really life changing knowledge for young people and things that can really impact their life,
yeah.
change their life. So
I yeah, I appreciate you having me, and I just want to say something real quick before
yeah,
we put things to an end.
yeah,
Man, I think what you're doing, and I've been watching your podcast. I think what you're doing right now is going to be really beneficial to the community, not just your surrounding community, but I think it could be on a global scale just because you're bringing athletes and they're recruiting and asking different questions and
Mhm.
getting the intricacies. And also, you're still pursuing your PhD.
Yeah.
By the way, congratulations. I know you're going to graduate in May.
Yeah.
Um,
Appreciate you.
but what you're doing, man, it's bigger than what you think.
Yeah.
And believe me, you got eyes, you got people
Mhm.
rooting for you,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see how far this blows up for you, man. And just know you got someone in your corner supporting you.
I appreciate you, Keith. I appreciate the feelings mutual on my end too, with you as well.
I appreciate you.
You were one of the first people that I met when I was at Memphis. Didn't really know a lot of people out there. So I appreciate you. I know we've maintained a good friendship. I hope that we can
Yeah,
I know we will continue that into the future, but I appreciate you. And like you said, you have
yeah.
somebody myself in your corner as well.
A lot of people don't know we met in our master's program. A lot of people
Yeah.
don't know that. You
Yeah.
gotta tell the
So
world
that
that.
the 2019 in the fall,
Yeah, yeah.
in Dr.
Uh,
Ryan's class, I
Dr.
just
Rod's class.
remember. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, so, but like I said, the feeling is mutual on my part. I appreciate you,
my
uh,
man.
the kind words, and we'll see. Like I said, I've got your back too if you ever need anything in that regard. But as for today, I appreciate you coming on, and we'll see you next time.